All right, well, ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe has left without addressing the 14th Cosatu National Congress. Delegates accused him and the ANC-led government of betraying workers and treating both the Federation and the SACP as junior partners in the alliance. We are now joined in studio by senior political reporter Samkele Maseko, who has been tracking indeed this story for us. A very good afternoon to you, Samkele. Before we talk about Cosatu issues, on the sidelines of the Congress, Gwede Mantashe was heard saying something like former President Jacob Zuma contesting to be chair of the ANC is, and let me quote him correctly here, is the biggest joke of the year. Talk to us about that.
That was a direct strike at former President Jacob Zuma. You'd remember in the early wee hours of this morning, former President Jacob Zuma issued that letter speaking to ANC members and delegates to the 55th National Conference of the ANC that will be elected by the branch general meetings. That is not, quote, moved an inch from the 2017 position, which, end of quote, was essentially supporting Dr. Nkosazana Zuma and also saying that those whom are contesting now, contesting the incumbent, supported him in his presidential bid in 2017. And over the years, all they've just done is amassed a lot of monies for themselves, taking a swipe at Dr. Zwelini Mkhize on those allegations of digital vibes and the illicit and the alleged illicit flow of monies, particularly to his children, to his son Didani, and to those other business associates. And Tahira Mata used to work in his office whilst he was still the Minister of Health within the country. So former President Jacob Zuma, in essence, putting his hat in the ring, and Gwede Mantashe saying an 81-year-old contesting him has to be the joke of the year. Let's just listen to what Mr. Mantashe had to say on this matter.
And we must accept the fact that delegates of the conference didn't want us to talk to them. We must just humbly accept that, hear their complaints, take them back and report to them. It's not the end of the road. I also took note of the issues that were raised by the Communist Party, and were whispering there and said, why does the party serve divorce papers in public? They must send divorce papers to us, we read them so we can respond to them. That's it, but it's fine. I wish the Congress success.
Are you leaving?
Yeah, I'm leaving now, yes.
So a decision has been made that you will not be a case of the Congress?
No, I'm not going to. Actually, even if I must address the Congress tomorrow, I will not be here tomorrow. Okay. I was here yesterday, I was here today, I have not been given a platform, I won't grab it.
But what does that say to the alliance relationship?
It means the alliance is weak. It has weakened a great deal. We'll have to go get together and try to rebuild it.
So does that say...
Because they said you have several meetings, for instance, the Alliance Political Council, the Alliance Summit, and all have failed.
You know, the alliance is an alliance of three equal partners. Okay. Three equal partners with an equal responsibility.
Actually, that was the national chairperson of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe, there, but explaining the issues of the tensions within the tripartite alliance as he left that Cosatu 15th Congress without addressing it, particularly knowing the tensions that exist in the tripartite alliance and how spearheading the campaign to have the national chairperson of the ANC not addressing their Congress over the issue of government reneging on that wage agreement of the Public Sector Bargaining Council that was meant to be implemented in the third year that was not implemented. You remember the then Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, speaking extensively about it. The then Minister of Public Administration and Service, Senzo Mchunu, which then moved on to the former Minister of Public Service and Administration again, and Lolo, before she went to the World Bank. There's now a 3% wage increment that has been proposed by government to the public sector unions. Unions are rejecting it, saying they want 10%. So essentially, you've got NHAU, you've got NUM, you've got other unions launching a scathing attack on the government and the ANC government, preventing the national chairperson of the ANC from addressing. But politically, former President Jacob Zuma became a topic of issue in the early hours of the morning, issuing out that letter. Gwede Mantashe, let's just listen to him, what he had to say about former President Zuma.
I was his Secretary General for 10 years. I take that as the biggest joke of the year, actually. You see. If the Desert at 81 wants to contest chairperson of the ANC, I take it as a joke, but I take it in a light note. I accept it.
All right, he's talking about jokes here, Samkele, but what was quite funny was the fact that he himself was pretty much forced to leave that Cosatu Congress without addressing delegates. Of course, we heard the delegates accusing him as well as the ANC of betraying workers and treating them as junior partners in the alliance. But we hear him reiterating in that first clip that you played for us that, he said that alliance partners, there are 3 equal partners. Is that the reality? And surely now the other alliance partners are saying perhaps we're not actually equal partners, yeah.
In a pipe dream, they are equal. The reality of it all is that the ANC calls the shots in that alliance. SACP General Secretary Samkele Maseko essentially going to saying that the ground has shifted, and the ANC must understand with the ground shifting, it means the balance of forces tilts within who then leads the tripartite alliance. With this talk of a reconfigured alliance, the SACP's continuous threats year in and year out without taking action of contesting elections. They did in Metsimahulu. A year later in the local government elections in 2021, they did not. So they themselves speak with a forked tongue. They're never true to their own words. Gwede Mantashe is saying the joke of the year is former President Jacob Zuma contesting him. But the reality of it all is that when you go back prior to Polokwane conference, where you had a younger generation of leaders like Sihle Zikalala and Mfikile Mbalula howling at Mosuwa Likota in KwaZulu-Natal, they are now, Gwede Mantashe, seeping and reaping the rewards of what was sold in what was then dubbed 100% Zulu boy going to Polokwane, what was then dubbed Zuma Ntashe in 2012 going to Mangaung. So these seeds that you are seeing, the heckling, the howling, this is exactly what they did. Gwede Mantashe in 2017, May Day of Cosatu, he said, where I spoke, the ANC spoke. There was peace where I was at. Former President Jacob Zuma was barred from speaking in that Mangaung May Day of Cosatu. So they are reaping the rewards of what they've sowed. Cosatu being so angry at the ANC, the reality is when you speak to many Cosatu leaders and SACP leaders and leaders of the ANC, they are of the view that minorities have been emboldened within the country, particularly the capitalist class, is now calling the shots. You look at the address of Samkele Maseko speaking about neoliberal policies that are once again being adopted by the ANC. You go back to the Cosatu Congress when they were heckling and howling former President Thabo Mbeki, where it was very frictious between Cosatu, the SACP, and the administration and the ANC led by former President Mbeki. You are back to that similar scenario this time around, but with a more fragmented and divided labor movement, which is practically toothless.
Yeah, so let me ask you in closing, and I know I'm being told to wrap up now, but, with Gwede Mantashe conceding that the governing party's tripartite alliance is at this stage broken and very weak, where does it leave the partnership? And as you've said, there's been time, years and years of the other alliance partners saying they want to be equal partners. And what do they believe this would then mean for them being these equal partners that they so want to be?
Yesterday, when you look back, when Cosatu and SACP were fighting former President Mbeki from Nelson Mandela's days on Gia, they fought former President Mbeki as well on the implementation of neoliberal policies. They were saying that here's a president of the working class, former President Jacob Zuma. They fought with former President Jacob Zuma on allegations of corruption, money laundering, and state capture.
Yeah.
They got rid of him. They elected Cyril Ramaphosa as the president of the ANC. A former General Secretary of NUM, Gwede Mantashe, former General Secretary of NUM, all in the top 6 of the ANC. The reality of it is that these two tripartite alliance, the SACP and Cosatu, will always try and influence who becomes ANC president on the manner that they think they will capture that particular president to advance their interest. But the reality of it, once leaders of trade unions and SACP transcend into the ANC, the first movement that they defend with everything they have is the African National Congress. Hence, Gwede Mantashe had to let go of the national chairpersonship position of the SACP when he was elected Secretary General of the ANC. So they are pretty much crying at a wrong funeral. They will always be the small children whom are not taken serious in that specific relationship because they do not have the necessary zeal and the guts to pull through on their own promises. They always sing, siyasifuna state power, meaning that they want the levers of power, they want the levers of government. What happened in Metsimahulu?
Yeah. All right. Well, interesting indeed. Samkele, always a pleasure. Samkele Maseko, who is, of course, our senior political reporter here at SABC News. Many thanks to you.